The Grand Hall of the Galactic Union stretched before me like a cosmic cathedral, its crystalline walls refracting starlight from 1,000 different systems. I stood among the human delegation, trying not to fidget with my ceremonial collar, while Ambassador Hartford droned on about the historical significance of this moment. The Interplanetary Marriage Alliance, they called it. A fancy name for what was essentially the galaxy's most expensive matchmaking service. "Remember, Marcus," Hartford whispered, his breath smelling of synthetic mint. "Choose someone pleasant, someone who photographs well. The media back on Earth will eat this up." I nodded, though my mind was elsewhere. 3 years had passed since the Dravari incident. 3 years since I'd lost Sarah and Mom in what the Union called a regrettable border dispute. The official reports blamed Dravari aggression, painting them as bloodthirsty warriors who attacked without provocation. The galaxy bought it. Hell, I'd bought it too, for a while. Around me, delegates from 43 different worlds mingled in their finest attire. The Zalathi floated in their biosuits, tentacles swaying to unheard music. The crystalline Vormak chimed softly as they moved, their bodies catching and throwing rainbow patterns across the floor. And there, in the corner where shadows seemed to gather, stood the Dravari delegation. Even from across the room, they commanded attention, not the pleasant kind. The kind that made your primitive brain scream that a predator was near. 7 feet tall on average, covered in scales that shifted from deep purple to midnight black, with eyes that held too much intelligence and not enough warmth. The other delegates gave them a wide berth. "Ladies and gentlemen, beings of all configurations," the Master of Ceremonies announced, his 4 arms spreading wide. "The selection begins." This was it. The moment where each world's representative would choose a partner from another species, cementing political alliances through manufactured romance. The previous elections had been predictably safe. The Altarian prince chose a luminous beauty from the Perseus system. The Centauri ambassador selected a graceful dancer from the moon colonies. Everyone picking the prettiest, the safest, the most politically advantageous. When my turn came, I walked past the lineup of eager candidates. Princess Lyrelai of the Neptune colonies gave me a hopeful smile. She was stunning, with silver hair that seemed to float in zero gravity and eyes like Earth's old oceans. Hartford nodded approvingly from the sidelines. I kept walking, past the Andromedan twins who could read thoughts and finish each other's sentences, past the shapeshifter from Rigel who could become anyone's ideal partner, past beauty after beauty, each one a perfect political match, each one absolutely wrong. I stopped in front of the Dravari section. The silence that fell over the hall was so complete, I could hear my own heartbeat. Hartford made a strangled sound that might have been my name, or might have been him choking on his own tongue. "I choose Lady Sereth of the Dravari 3rd Regiment," I said, my voice carrying in the crystalline acoustics. She stood at the edge of her delegation, and if the other Dravari were intimidating, Sereth was something else entirely, taller than the rest. Her scales bore the scars of countless battles, creating patterns that looked almost artistic in the refracted light. Her eyes weren't just intelligent. They were calculating, measuring, dissecting. When she smiled, revealing teeth that could punch through steel, several delegates took involuntary steps backward. "You're joking," someone whispered. "I think it was Hartford." "The human has made his choice," the Master of Ceremonies said, though even his professional composure cracked slightly. "Lady Sereth, do you accept?" She moved forward with the fluid grace of an apex predator, each step deliberate, controlled. When she spoke, her voice was like distant thunder, with an accent that turned Earth standard into something almost musical. "The human Marcus Hale," she said, and I noticed she didn't call me delegate or use my title. "The one who lost family in the Kepler station incident." My jaw tightened. "Yes." And you choose me, knowing what my people are accused of. I choose you because of what your people are accused of. Her head tilted, a gesture that looked almost bird-like despite her reptilian features. Interesting. Very well. I accept. The hall erupted. Delegates shouted in dozen languages. Hartford was definitely choking now. The Dravari delegation stood frozen, their expressions unreadable, but their body language screaming shock. The media drones swarmed like mechanical vultures, their lights turning the whole scene into a circus. Have you lost your mind? Hartford grabbed my arm as soon as we were away from the main floor. Do you have any idea what you've just done? Made things interesting. This isn't a joke. Marcus the Dravari killed your family. Did they? I met his eyes. Did they really? Or is that just what we were told? His face went through several colors, none of them healthy. You're playing a dangerous game. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired of playing by everyone else's rules. Sarath appeared beside us, moving so silently that Hartford jumped and made a sound I would charitably describe as manly. Up close, she was even more imposing. Her scales had a subtle iridescence, shifting between purple and black, like oil on water. What I'd taken for scars were actually natural patterns, each one unique, telling a story I couldn't read. Your superior seems distressed, she observed, her tone carrying what might have been amusement. He's having a day, I said. Indeed. She turned those predator eyes on me. You should know, Marcus Hale, that choosing me has consequences. My people will see this as betrayal. Yours will see it as insanity. And the Union. She paused. The Union will see it as a threat. Good. I'm tired of everyone being comfortable. She laughed then, a sound like distant avalanches. Oh, you're either very brave or very stupid. ¿Por qué no los dos? I don't speak ancient Earth languages. It means why not both? This time her smile seemed less threatening and more genuine. Come, if we're to be married by union law, we should at least pretend to get to know each other. Besides, I believe your ambassador is about to have what you humans call a stroke. Hartford did indeed look like he was about to burst something important. I gave him a cheerful wave and followed Sarath toward the observation deck. The deck was mostly empty, the other delegates too busy gossiping about my shocking choice to enjoy the view. Beyond the transparent aluminum, the Nexus station spread out like a spiderweb of light and metal, connecting trade routes from across the galaxy. Ships of every configuration docked and departed in an endless dance. Why? Sarath asked without preamble. Why did I choose you? Or why am I not running away screaming like everyone expects? Both. I leaned against the railing, organizing my thoughts. 3 years ago, my mother and sister were on Kepler Station when it was destroyed. The official report says your people attacked without warning, testing a new weapon. And you believe this? I did. For about 6 months. Then I started noticing things. Classified documents with redacted sections that didn't make sense. Testimony from survivors that contradicted the official timeline. Energy signatures that didn't match Dravari weapons. I turned to look at her. I think my family was killed by the Union, and your people were blamed for it. She was quiet for a long moment, those calculating eyes studying me. You're right, she finally said. But knowing and proving are different things. That's why I chose you. If I'd picked Princess Lyra Lai, I'd have gotten a beautiful wife and a pat on the head. By picking you, I've forced everyone to pay attention. And maybe, just maybe, we can find the truth together. You assume I care about the truth. Don't you? She moved to stand beside me, her presence like standing next to a controlled storm. My youngest brother was leading our patrol when Kepler Station was destroyed. He and his entire unit were vaporized by the Union's retaliation strike. They never even knew what they were accused of. Her claws scraped against the railing, leaving gouges in the metal. So yes, Marcus Hale, I care about the truth. Then we're on the same side. Are we? You're still Union. Still human. Your people have believed we're monsters for 3 years. Some of us are capable of changing our minds. She made a sound that might have been approval. We'll see. But you should know something else. The Union didn't just blame us randomly. Someone wanted that station destroyed, and someone wanted war between our peoples. That someone is still out there, and they won't be happy about this alliance. Let them be unhappy. I'm tired of dancing to their tune. Bold words. But words are easy. When they come for us, and they will, what then? I thought about Sarah, always laughing, always pushing me to be braver. About Mom, who taught me that the truth was worth any price. Then we faced them together. That's what marriage is about, right? Sarath laughed again. That earthquake rumble. I don't think this is what the Union had in mind for promoting interspecies understanding. Probably not, but hey, at least we're not boring. A commotion from the main hall drew our attention. Through the transparent walls, we could see delegates scrambling, security forces moving with purpose. Hartford appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Marcus, we have a problem. Just one that's actually better than I expected. This isn't a joke. The Dravari High Command is demanding Sarath's immediate return. They're calling her acceptance of your proposal an act of treason. Sarath's scales shifted, darkening to almost pure black. Faster than I expected. And that's not all, Hartford continued. The Union Security Council wants to speak with you, both of you, immediately. Let me guess, I said. They're not calling to congratulate us on our engagement. Marcus, please, you can still undo this. Choose someone else, anyone else. We can say it was a misunderstanding, a cultural confusion. No, think about your career. I am thinking, for the first time in 3 years. I'm actually thinking instead of just following orders. I turned to Sarath. You ready for this? Are you? Not even a little bit. Let's go anyway. The Security Council chamber was designed to intimidate. A circular room with the council members seated above, looking down on whoever stood in the center. 5 beings from 5 different worlds, each one representing billions of lives and trillions of credits and trade agreements. Counselor Thrace spoke first, her artificial voice echoing through translators. Marcus Hale, Lady Sarath, your arrangement has caused significant concern. We prefer to call it an engagement, I said. Has a nicer ring to it than arrangement. This is not a matter for levity, Counselor Korvac rumbled, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The alliance between human and Dravari could destabilize the entire sector. Or, Sarath said, her voice cutting through their disapproval like a blade. It could heal wounds that have festered for 3 years. Wounds your people caused, Counselor Thrace shot back. Allegedly caused? I interrupted. Funny how there's never been a formal investigation. No trial. Just immediate retaliation and continued sanctions. The council exchanged glances. Counselor Elira leaned forward. She was Altarian, beautiful in that ethereal way her people always were, with silver skin and eyes like stars. She'd always been friendly to me before, but now her expression was cold. Mr. Hale, you're grieving. We understand that. But choosing one of your family's killers as a bride is not healing. It's Stockholm Syndrome. With respect, Counselor, you don't know what you're talking about. Then enlighten us. Why choose her? Why choose any Dravari? I felt Sarath tense beside me, ready for violence if needed. But violence wouldn't help here. Only truth would. And even that was a gamble. Because I've spent 3 years looking into what really happened at Kepler Station. And the more I look, the less sense the official story makes. The silence was deafening. That's a serious accusation, Counselor Thrace said carefully. It's not an accusation. It's an observation. Energy readings that don't match. Timeline discrepancies. Classified files with redactions that hide more than operational security would require. I took a breath. I think we were lied to. All of us. And I think Lady Sereth and I can find the truth. The truth, Counselor Korvac said, is what the investigation determined. What investigation? The one that lasted 3 days. The one where no Dravari were allowed to present evidence. That investigation... Counselor Elira stood, her movement graceful and somehow threatening. Mr. Hale, you're walking a dangerous path. The Union has maintained peace for centuries. Sometimes that peace requires difficult decisions. Like murdering a station full of civilians and blaming it on someone else. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Elira's expression didn't change, but something in her eyes flickered. You have no proof, she said. Yet, Sarath added, and her smile was all teeth. This meeting is concluded, Councillor Thrace announced. The engagement stands, as per the rules of the Interplanetary Marriage Alliance. But be warned, both of you. The Union watches. The Union remembers. The Union threatens, I said. At least have the courage to be honest about it. We left before they could respond, walking through corridors that suddenly felt hostile. Every shadow could hide an assassin. Every friendly face could be an enemy. That went well, Sarath said dryly. We're still alive, so yeah, better than expected. The night is young. As if on cue, my communicator buzzed. Terran's face appeared on the screen. My old friend from the tech division. His expression was panicked. Marcus, thank God, don't go back to your quarters. Why? Someone just tried to access your personal files. And by tried, I mean they succeeded until I caught them and locked them out. They were looking for something specific. What? Any data you have on Kepler Station. I exchanged glances with Sarath. We need somewhere safe to talk. My ship, she said immediately. My people may have disowned me, but the ship is still mine by right of combat. Right of combat. I killed the previous owner. Of course you did. Her ship was not what I expected. From the outside, it looked like what it was. A Dravari warbird, all sharp angles and weapons ports. But inside, it was almost warm. The walls were decorated with what looked like art, patterns that shifted and moved in the peripheral vision. The air smelled of something spicy and alien, but not unpleasant. Make yourself comfortable, she said, gesturing to a seating area that looked designed for human anatomy. I had it modified when I learned about this alliance ceremony. You knew you'd be choosing a human. I knew a human would be choosing me. I stared at her. How? She moved to what looked like a bar, pulling out 2 containers. Because 3 months ago, someone approached me. Someone from within the Union. They told me a human named Marcus Hale had been investigating Kepler Station. They said you would be at this ceremony. They suggested I make myself available for selection. And you just trusted them? No. I investigated you myself. Everything they said was true. You've been quietly gathering evidence for 2 years. You've been careful, but not careful enough. The wrong people noticed. People like Counselor Elira. Perhaps. She handed me a drink. It was green and bubbled ominously. The question is, what do we do now? I took a sip. It tasted like peppers and ozone and something indefinable. We find the truth. We expose whoever's behind this. And we try not to die in the process. A simple plan. I like it. There's one more thing, I said. Whoever contacted you, did they say why they wanted us together? They said the truth about Kepler Station was bigger than just one incident. They said it was part of something that could destroy the Union as we know it. And you believed them. I believed the evidence. Energy signatures from Kepler Station match weapons that were supposed to be decommissioned 50 years ago. Union weapons. My communicator buzzed again. Terran's face was even more panicked. Marcus, you need to see this. Remember that encrypted file you've been trying to crack, the one from the Kepler Station backup servers? Yeah. I got it open. You're not going to believe what's inside. Send it through. The file materialized on Sarath's display system. As we read, I felt the universe shift under my feet. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. But worse than that, the truth was more terrible than I'd imagined. We need to move, Sarath said, already heading for the bridge. If they know we have this... The ship shuddered. Outside, Union security vessels were moving into position, weapons charging. I think they know, I said. Then we run, and we fight, and we make sure everyone in the galaxy sees this file. Together. She showed those terrifying teeth again, but somehow, I wasn't scared anymore. Together, husband. The ship's engines roared to life, and we burst from the station like a comet. Union forces in pursuit. Behind us, the Nexus station grew smaller, but I knew we'd be back. We had truth on our side now, and sometimes, that's the most dangerous weapon of all. The jump to hyperspace was rougher than usual, probably because we were dodging Union interceptor fire while calculating coordinates. Sarath handled her ship like she was born to it, which she probably was. The Dravari learned to pilot before they could properly walk, or so the stories went. Where are we heading? I asked, gripping the co-pilot seat as another wave of nausea hit. Human bodies weren't designed for combat jumps. Nowhere. That's not really helpful. It's accurate. We're going to a place that doesn't exist. She pulled up a star chart, pointing to an empty section between systems. Dead space, no stations, no planets, no jurisdiction. The Union pretends it's not there because acknowledging it would mean admitting they can't control everything. Sounds cozy. Will we have neighbors? Pirates, smugglers, refugees from various wars. The usual collection of people who prefer to be forgotten. And we can hide there. We can regroup there. Hiding is for prey. Her scales shifted color, a sign I was beginning to recognize as determination. We are not prey. The encrypted file Terran had cracked was still open on the display. Every time I read it, my anger grew. It wasn't just about Kepler Station. The file contained references to something called the Convergence Initiative, a systematic plan to create conflicts between species to justify Union military expansion. Kepler Station was just one of 9 incidents over the past decade. 9 stations, I muttered. Thousands of lives. All to sell fear. Your species has a saying, Sarath said. War is profitable. The Union learned this well. This goes beyond profit. This is about control. Create an enemy. Position yourself as the protector. And suddenly, everyone's begging you to take their freedom in exchange for safety. And the Dravari made perfect enemies. We look frightening. We have a warrior culture, and we refuse to fully integrate with the Union's economic system. My communicator buzzed. Terran again. But this time the connection was encrypted and bounced through so many relays the quality was terrible. Marcus, can you hear me? Barely. Are you safe? For now. I'm off station, using a borrowed ship. Listen, things are worse than we thought. After you left, security locked down everything. They're calling you both terrorists, saying you stole classified data and murdered 3 council guards. We didn't kill anyone. I know that. But the media doesn't. Your face is on every newsfeed from here to the Outer Rim. They're offering a bounty that could buy a small moon. Sarath leaned over, her presence filling my peripheral vision. Tell him about the safe house coordinates. Safe house. I looked at her. Your friend needs somewhere to go, unless you'd prefer he get captured and tortured for information. She had a point. Sarath rattled off a series of numbers that Terran frantically recorded. There's more, Terran said. Remember how the file mentioned 9 incidents I found references to a 10th? It's not in the past. Marcus, it's scheduled for next week. Where? The Harmony Conference on Celestia Prime. Representatives from every major species will be there. If they follow the same pattern, they'll stage an attack, blame someone, and use it to justify God knows what. I ran my hands through my hair. We need to warn them. With what credibility you're wanted terrorists now? Then we need proof they can't ignore. The connection crackled and died. Either Terran had to move or someone had found the signal. I hoped it was the former. We dropped out of hyperspace into nothing. Literally nothing. No stars nearby, no planets. Just the distant glow of galaxies and the occasional piece of debris from wars nobody remembered. It was eerily beautiful in its emptiness. There, Sarath pointed to what looked like an asteroid. Station nowhere. As we approached, the asteroid revealed itself to be hollow, its interior converted into a sprawling habitat. Ships of every configuration were docked in chaotic patterns. No two structures matched. The whole thing looking like it had been built by committee where nobody spoke the same language. "Welcome to Station Nowhere," a bored voice crackled over the comm. "If you're Union, go away. If you're hunting someone, they're not here. If you're everyone else, docking fee is 500 credits or equivalent barter. Bay 43 is open." "Charming," I muttered. We docked without incident, though several ships powered weapons as we passed. The station's interior was even more chaotic than its exterior. Markets sprawled into residential areas, which sprawled into what might have been churches or might have been fighting pits. The air smelled of 100 different species cooking, none of it particularly appetizing. "Keep your head down," Sarath advised. "Eye contact here is considered either a challenge or a proposition. Which would be worse? Depends on the species." We made our way through the maze, Sarath leading with the confidence of someone who'd been here before. Finally, we reached a door that looked like it had been stolen from a Union battleship and welded onto a shipping container. Sarath knocked in a pattern. The door opened to reveal a human woman with cybernetic eyes and scars that told stories I didn't want to hear. "Sarath, been a while." "Hello, Vera. We need a room." Vera's artificial eyes focused on me, scanning in spectrums I couldn't imagine. "You brought a Union boy here, bold. Stupid, but bold." "He's my husband." The scanning stopped. "You're joking." "Do I joke?" "No, which is why this is so weird." She stepped aside. "Room 9 is free. You know the rules. No killing inside. Take it outside. No Union contacts. And if anyone asks, you were never here." The room was small but clean, with a bed designed for humans and another platform that I assumed was Dravari furniture. A secured terminal sat in the corner, its screen dark. "Old friend?" I asked. "Former enemy. We tried to kill each other a few times. Now she runs the safest hideout in dead space." "How does that work?" "Mutual respect. Also, I saved her life once. She saved mine twice. We decided to stop keeping score." I collapsed onto the bed, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind the crushing weight of our situation. "We're fugitives." "Yes. Everyone we know thinks we're terrorists." "Probably. And we have 6 days to stop a massacre with no resources, no allies, and no plan." "Correct." She sat on her platform, her posture relaxing slightly. "Having second thoughts about your choice of bride?" "No, you—" "I chose nothing. You chose me, remember? You accepted." "True." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you want to know why?" "Because someone told you to—" "No. Because when I researched you, I found something interesting. You didn't just lose family at Kepler Station. You were supposed to be there too." I sat up. "How did you know that—" "Your transfer orders were filed 3 days before the attack. You would have been on that station if food poisoning hadn't delayed your departure." "Lucky me." "Or unlucky, depending on perspective. Survivor's guilt is a powerful motivator. It makes people do things like choose dangerous brides and challenge the entire galactic order." "Is that what you think this is, guilt? Isn't it?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe partly, but mostly it's anger. They killed my family and thousands of others for politics. For power. Someone needs to stop them. And you think we can two people against the entire Union? David beat Goliath. I don't understand that reference. Ancient Earth story. Small guy defeats giant with cleverness and a rock. We'll need more than rocks. The terminal in the corner chimed. A message was waiting, encrypted with protocols I didn't recognize. Sarath moved to it, typing commands faster than I could follow. It's from my contact, the one who told me about you. She read, her expression darkening. They want to meet. Is that wise? No. But they claim to have information about the Celestia Prime attack. Details we'll need if we're going to stop it. It's a trap. Obviously. The question is whose trap and for what purpose? Another chime. This time, the message was for me. Somehow routed through encrypted channels that should have been impossible to breach. Mr. Hale, the text read. I believe we have mutual interests. The truth about Kepler Station is only the beginning. If you want to know how deep this goes, meet me in the Broken Throne. Come alone. Counselor Elira. That's definitely a trap, Sarath said, reading over my shoulder. Yes, but an interesting one. Why would she reach out? She was ready to have us arrested 6 hours ago. To kill you quietly. She could have done that at the station. No. This is something else. I stood, pacing the small room. What if she's not the real enemy? What if she's been trying to expose this too? That's a large assumption based on no evidence. Not no evidence. Remember her reaction when I mentioned the investigation. She was uncomfortable, but not surprised. Like she knew I was right but couldn't say so. Or she was calculating how quickly to have you killed. I'm going to meet her. Sarath's scales darkened to almost black. That's idiotic. Probably. But we need allies. And if there's even a chance she's not part of this conspiracy? She's a council member. They're all part of it by definition. Maybe. Or maybe some of them are trapped by it. I grabbed my jacket, checking the small plasma pistol hidden in the lining. Give me 2 hours. If I'm not back, assume I'm dead and carry on without me. I'm coming with you, she said alone. And you trust her? No. But I trust my instincts, and they say this is important. Sarath stood, towering over me even when she wasn't trying to be intimidating. Your instincts also told you to marry a Dravari warrior you'd never met. And look how well that's working out. She made that earthquake rumble laugh. You're either very brave or very stupid. We established that yesterday. I'm both. The Broken Throne turned out to be a bar, because of course it was. The kind of place where species that shouldn't be able to drink together somehow did, united by the universal desire to forget their problems. I found Elira in a corner booth, wearing a hooded cloak that did nothing to hide her distinctive silver skin. Subtle, I said, sliding in across from her. I'm not trying to hide. Not from you. She pulled back her hood, revealing features that were hauntingly beautiful and utterly alien. Thank you for coming. Thank you for probably not killing me immediately. The night is young, she signaled the bartender, who brought 2 glasses of something green and glowing. Do you know what this is? Besides suspicious? It's Veritas, truth serum, essentially. 1 sip and you can't lie for an hour. And you want me to drink it? No. I want you to watch me drink it. She took the glass and downed it in 1 shot. Her eyes immediately dilated, the stars in them spinning faster. Now ask me anything. Are you part of the conspiracy? Yes and no. I know about it. Have known for years. But I'm not helping them by choice. Explain. They have my daughter. Have had her for 3 years. If I don't cooperate, she dies. The words came out flat, matter of fact, but I could see the pain behind them. Who are they? A shadow organization within the Union. They call themselves the Architects. They believe the galaxy needs to be restructured, with certain species in charge and others managed. And the Dravari were meant to be eliminated. Too independent, too powerful, too unwilling to submit. Kepler Station was supposed to start a war that would justify their genocide. But it didn't work. Because of you. Your investigation. Your refusal to let it go. You became a problem they couldn't easily solve. Killing you would have raised questions. So they tried to discredit you instead. By letting me marry Sarath. No, that was unexpected. They thought you'd choose someone safe. When you chose her, it accelerated their timeline. The Celestia Prime attack was moved up. You know the details. Some. They plan to use a weapon that mimics Zalathi energy signatures. The attack will kill the Dravari delegation and several others. The Zalathi will be blamed, starting a war between multiple species. We need to stop it. We can't. Not just the two of us. Or three. Assuming your wife doesn't kill me when she finds out I followed you here. I turned. Sarath emerged from the shadows, her weapon drawn but not aimed. You're getting predictable, husband. And you're getting protective. It's annoying. She sat beside me, her bulk making the booth creak. Counselor, start talking. Elira repeated everything. The truth serum making her unable to hold back even the parts that clearly hurt to say. By the end, even Sarath looked sympathetic. Your daughter, Sarath said. Where is she? I don't know. They move her constantly. All I get are proof of life videos, always in nondescript rooms. We'll find her, I said. You can't. You're fugitives. You have no resources. We have something better. We have nothing left to lose. I leaned forward. Help us stop the attack, and we'll help you get your daughter back. How? I don't know yet, but I know running and hiding won't solve anything. We need to go on the offensive. That's suicide. Maybe, but it's better than living with the guilt of doing nothing. The truth serum was wearing off, Elira's eyes returning to normal. You're insane. My wife says the same thing. I'm not your wife yet, Sarath corrected. The ceremony was interrupted. Remember. Details. Elira stood, pulling her hood back up. There's a man on this station. Calls himself the broker. He trades in information and favors. If anyone can help you get into Celestia Prime undetected, it's him. Why should we trust him? You shouldn't. But he hates the Union more than anyone alive. They killed his entire world. She left without another word, disappearing into the crowd like smoke. Sarath and I sat in silence for a moment. This is getting complicated, she said. It was always complicated. We're just seeing more of the picture now. Do you trust her? I trust that she loves her daughter. That's enough for now. We found the broker in what used to be a cargo bay, now converted into something between a throne room and a data center. Screens covered every surface, showing feeds from across the galaxy. The broker himself was hidden behind layers of holographic projections, his true form invisible. Marcus Hale and Lady Sarath. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere. The galaxy's most wanted couple. How romantic. We need your help, I said. Everyone needs my help. The question is, what can you offer in return? Information about the Convergence Initiative? The holograms flickered. Continue! I laid out everything we knew. The encrypted files. The planned attack. The architects. With each revelation, the broker's interest grew more apparent in the way the holograms shifted and reorganized. Fascinating. And you want to stop the Celestia Prime attack? Yes. Impossible. Everything's impossible until someone does it, Sarath said. Philosophical. But philosophy won't get you past Union security. They've tripled the protection since your escape. Every delegate will be scanned, verified, and monitored. Then we don't go as delegates, I said. We go as someone else. Who? The attackers. If they're planning to frame the Zalathi, they'll need people on the inside. We intercept their team, take their place. That's not just impossible, it's insane. People keep saying that like it's a bad thing. The broker was quiet for a long moment. I can get you identification codes for the service crews. Celestia Prime uses contracted workers for the conference, but you'll need to alter your appearance. A human and a Dravari aren't exactly inconspicuous. I can handle that, Sarath said. My people have adaptive camouflage technology. Crude, but effective for short periods. And the real attackers? Leave them to me, the broker said. I have a vested interest in keeping certain parties alive at that conference. Who? That's not part of our deal. I help you stop the attack. You give me everything you have on the Convergence Initiative. Agreed. I looked at Sarath. She nodded slightly. Agreed. Excellent. You have 4 days to prepare. I suggest you use them wisely. Back in our room, I collapsed on the bed, exhaustion finally winning. Sarath sat at the terminal, already working on plans for the infiltration. We're going to die, I said to the ceiling. Probably. You're very calm about that. Death is just another transition. My people believe the brave are rewarded in the next existence. And the stupid, they get to try again until they learn. Then I'm going to be repeating this for a while. She turned from the terminal, studying me with those predator eyes. Why did you really choose me? I told you, to find the truth. That's not all of it. I sat up, meeting her gaze. When I saw you at the ceremony, standing apart from everyone else, I recognized something. You were as angry as I was, as tired of the lies. Everyone else there was playing politics. You were the only one who looked ready to burn it all down. And you found that attractive? I found it honest. Humans have strange mating criteria, says the woman who accepted a proposal from someone she'd never met. I had my reasons, which were... She returned to the terminal. Ask me again if we survive Celestia Prime. That's not ominous at all. My communicator buzzed. Terran had made it to the safe house and sent coordinates for a dead drop he'd prepared before fleeing. More files from the Union database. Things he'd grabbed in the chaos. Your friend is resourceful, Sarath observed. He's had to be. We both have. The consequence of seeking truth in a universe built on lies? You're getting philosophical again. You're rubbing off on me. Is that good or bad? Ask me again if we survive Celestia Prime. I laughed, despite everything. Here we were, fugitives planning an impossible mission to stop a massacre. And somehow we'd found a rhythm. Not quite partnership, not quite marriage, but something unique. 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Sarath's camouflage technology was remarkable, allowing her to appear as a different species entirely for short periods. The strain was visible, though, her scales dulling when she maintained it too long. I underwent minor surgical alterations, enough to fool facial recognition, but not enough to be permanent. The broker provided intelligence on the conference layout, security protocols, and most importantly, the identities of the real attack team, a mercenary group known for taking any job if the price was right. They'd been hired through so many intermediaries that tracing the original source was impossible. They're professionals, the broker warned. Even intercepting them will be dangerous. Everything we're doing is dangerous, I pointed out. True. But this is especially so. They're scheduled to arrive at Celestia Prime the morning of the conference. You'll have a narrow window to replace them. How narrow? 30 minutes, perhaps less. Plenty of time, Sarath said dryly. The night before we left, I found myself unable to sleep. The weight of what we were attempting pressed down like gravity from a massive planet. Sarath was awake too, standing by the small window that looked out into the twisted interior of Station Nowhere. Scared? She asked without turning. Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. The fearless die young. Speaking from experience, I've been fearless 3 times in my life. Each time nearly killed me. What were they? My first battle, my brother's death, and accepting your proposal. I'm honored to be in such company. She turned to face me, her expression unreadable. Marcus, If we fail tomorrow.
We won't.
But if we do, I want you to know something. She paused, seeming to struggle with the words. Choosing you wasn't just about the mission. When I researched you, I found someone who cared more about truth than survival. That's rare. Among humans. Among anyone. The moment stretched between us, filled with possibilities and unspoken things. Then she turned back to the window, and the moment passed. Tomorrow, we would either save hundreds of lives or die trying. But tonight, we were just two people from different worlds, bound together by circumstance and choice, standing against a universe of lies. Sarath. Yes. If we survive this, would you consider making our marriage official? She made that earthquake laugh again. Ask me again when we're not about to commit elaborate suicide. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. I'll take it. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. But tonight, for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't alone with my anger. I had an ally, a partner, possibly even a friend. And maybe, if we were very lucky and very stupid, we might just save the galaxy. The truth was still out there, waiting to be revealed. And we were going to find it, or die trying. Celestia Prime hung in space like a jewel, its crystalline cities refracting the light of 3 suns into rainbow patterns that could be seen from orbit. Our approach vector took us through the commercial shipping lanes, our vessel disguised as a maintenance transport. Just another anonymous ship among thousands. 2 minutes until intercept window, Sarath said, her hands steady on the controls, despite the tension I could see in her shoulders. The real attack team's ship appeared on our sensors, right on schedule. A sleek courier vessel, the kind used by high-end mercenaries who valued speed over firepower. According to the broker's intelligence, there were 4 of them, professionals who'd done this kind of false flag operation before. Remember, I said, checking my weapon for the 10th time. We need them alive long enough to get their access codes. And their biometric data, Sarath added. The conference security will scan for both. Right, no pressure. You wanted to play hero. I wanted to find the truth. The hero thing is your influence. She made that rumbling laugh. 30 seconds. The broker's people had done their part, sending a disguised distress signal that would force the mercenary ship to drop out of hyperspace for a mandatory assistance check. It was an old pirate trick, but legal requirements meant most ships still had to respond. They dropped out exactly where we expected. Sarath fired the EMP pulse before they could raise shields, then magnetized our hulls together. The whole operation took 12 seconds. Go, she said, already sealing her suit. We breached their airlock with shaped charges, moving fast through the smoke and confusion. The mercenaries were good, already reaching for weapons despite the surprise. But Sarath was better. She moved through them like a force of nature, not killing, but disabling with precise strikes that left them conscious, but unable to fight. I handled the technical side, extracting access codes from their systems while Sarath secured the prisoners. The leader, a scarred human named Reeves, glared at me as I copied his biometric signature. You have no idea what you're interfering with, he said. Enlighten me. The attack. It's not what you think. We're not the real threat. Then what is? He laughed, bitter and knowing. The conference itself is a trap. The architects aren't trying to start a war. They're trying to end one before it begins. What war? The one that starts when the galaxy learns what the Union's been doing to maintain peace. Forced sterilizations, mind control. Entire colonies disappeared because they wouldn't conform. I exchanged glances with Sarath. And killing delegates helps how? We weren't going to kill anyone. Our job was to plant evidence of Union crimes, then get caught. Make it look like a failed false flag operation. The architects would be exposed. The Union would fall. And something worse would take its place. Worse. The hegemony. A coalition of species tired of Union rule, They've been planning this for decades. The chaos from the revelation would give them the excuse to seize power.
You're lying. I checked the data packet in my left pocket? Everything's there.
I found the packet, a small crystal that glowed with stored information. Sarath kept her weapon trained on the mercenaries, while I scanned it. "Marcus," she said, reading over my shoulder. "This is..." Yeah. The data showed another layer to the conspiracy. The hegemony was real, and they'd been manipulating events just as much as the architects, creating villains to justify their eventual takeover. The attack on Celestia Prime wasn't about starting a war or exposing crimes. It was about creating a power vacuum.
"So what do we do?" I asked.
"What we came to do," Sarath said. "Stop the attack. But now we know there's more than one."
We left the mercenaries secured in their ship with a beacon that would alert authorities after we were clear. Their access codes and biometrics would get us into the conference. But we'd have to be careful. If the hegemony had other assets in play, we were walking into a minefield. Celestia Prime's main station was a work of art, all flowing curves and impossible architecture that seemed to defy physics. The conference center sat at its heart, a sphere within a sphere, protected by layers of security that would make any direct assault suicide. We docked at the service port, our stolen identities holding up under the automated scans. My surgical alterations made me look different enough to pass, while Sarath's camouflage technology turned her into a nondescript Altarian maintenance worker. The strain was visible only if you knew what to look for, a slight shimmer at the edges of her disguise. "Maintenance crew 43, a board security officer said, checking our credentials. "You're late." "Transport trouble," I replied, affecting the accent of an outer colony worker. "Aren't you all?"
"Bay 12 needs a full diagnostic. Get to it." We moved through the service corridors, following the map the broker had provided. The conference was already in session. Hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy gathered to discuss trade agreements and territorial disputes. None of them knew they were sitting in the crosshairs of multiple conspiracies. "There," Sarath whispered, pointing to an access panel. "That leads to the environmental systems. According to Reeves's data, the hegemony's real attack would come through the life support systems. Not to kill, but to release a psychotropic compound that would make the delegates highly suggestible. When the evidence of Union crimes was revealed, they'd believe it absolutely and demand immediate action." We crawled through the maintenance shafts, the space barely large enough for me, and definitely not designed for someone of Sarath's size, even disguised. She struggled, but didn't complain. Her breathing controlled despite what must have been significant discomfort. The environmental control room was supposed to be empty during the conference. It wasn't. 3 figures in maintenance uniforms were installing something into the atmospheric processors. They moved with military precision, definitely not standard workers.
"Hegemony operatives,"
Sarath breathed. "Can you take them?" "Not without dropping my disguise, and that would trigger every alarm in the station. Then we need another way." I pulled out my communicator, routing through encrypted channels Terran had set up. If Counselor Elira was really on our side, now was the time to prove it.
"Elira, it's Marcus. We're in the station. The attack isn't what we thought. Check your private channel for data."
I sent her everything we'd learned, hoping she was in a position to help. The response came quickly. "Understood. Creating distraction. You have 5 minutes." Alarms began blaring in a different section of the station. The 3 operatives looked up, speaking rapidly in a language I didn't recognize. 2 of them left to investigate, leaving one behind to finish the installation. "Now," I whispered. Sarath moved before the word finished leaving my mouth, even maintaining her disguise. She was fast. The operative went down with barely a sound, unconscious before they hit the floor. We dragged them into a storage closet and I went to work on the device they'd been installing. "It's sophisticated," I said, examining the mechanism. "Binary compound system, harmless separately, but combined in the right proportions. Can you disable it? Not without triggering a failsafe, but I can change the mixture, make it harmless. Do it! My hands worked while my mind raced. The compound was designed to be undetectable, breaking down into harmless components after an hour. Perfect for creating temporary chaos, but with a few adjustments. There. Now it'll release a mild euphoric. The delegates might get giggly, but they won't be susceptible to suggestion. The other two will be back soon. Then we should be gone. We made it 3 corridors before running into Terran. What are you doing here? I asked, shocked. Saving your asses, he replied, holding up a security badge. The broker hired me as backup. Said you'd need someone who actually knows how these systems work. And you just agreed. He offered me enough credits to buy a small moon. Plus, saving the galaxy seemed worth the risk. Sarath's disguise flickered. We don't have time for reunions. There are more operatives, and the conference is about to reach the main voting session. Terran pulled up a holographic display of the station. I've been tracking unusual movement patterns. There are at least 6 more fake maintenance workers in positions around the conference hall. Can you lock them out? Not without administrative access. But if someone could get to the main security station... I'll go, Sarath said. Your disguise is failing. Then I'll be fast. She left before I could argue. Terran and I watched her position on his display, a dot moving through the station's maze. She's interesting, Terran said. That's one word for it. You actually like her. She's growing on me. Like a fungus? Like a very deadly, very loyal fungus. The main conference hall appeared on Terran's display. The delegates were seated in a massive amphitheater, species separated by environmental needs, but united in purpose. At the podium, the Union Secretary General was speaking about cooperation and peace. The irony wasn't lost on me. Marcus, Elira's voice came through the comm. Where are you? Service level, heading to the conference hall. The hegemony has operatives positioned for something big. I know. I can see 3 from where I'm sitting. They're not trying to hide anymore. Can you stop them? Not without revealing myself, and my daughter. Is safe. A new voice cut in. The broker. My people extracted her an hour ago. Counselor Elira, you're free to act. The relief in Elira's voice was palpable. Thank you. Marcus, I'm moving to intercept the nearest operative. Wait, I said, a thought occurring. Don't stop them. Let them reveal themselves. Are you insane? Probably. But think about it. If we stop them quietly, nothing changes. The architects continue. The hegemony regroups. And we're back where we started. But if they expose themselves publicly, the entire galaxy sees the conspiracy. Terran finished. Brilliant or stupid? Hard to tell. Story of my life. Sarath's voice crackled through. Security station secured. I have administrative access. And Marcus, you're going to want to see this. Terran pulled up the feed she was sending. Security footage from the past week, showing high-ranking Union officials meeting with known hegemony agents. The architects weren't the only conspiracy. Half the Union leadership was compromised, playing both sides. Send it to every media feed, I said. Now. That'll cause a panic. Better than a war. She did it. Every screen in the station suddenly showed the evidence. The conference hall erupted in chaos as delegates saw their leaders exposed as traitors and conspirators. The hegemony operatives, realizing their cover was blown, made their move. But they hadn't counted on Sarath having control of the security systems. Containment fields snapped into place around each operative, trapping them where they stood. The delegates, shocked but now aware of the danger, began demanding answers. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, patching into the conference audio system. My name is Marcus Hale. You know me as a wanted terrorist, but I'm here to tell you the truth. I laid it all out. The Convergence Initiative, the false flag operations, the hegemony's counter-conspiracy. The evidence streamed on every screen, undeniable and damning. When I finished, the silence was deafening. Then someone started clapping. It was the Dravari ambassador, the one who'd been prepared to declare Sarath a traitor. "The human speaks truth," he said, his voice carrying. "We have suspected this for years, but lacked proof." Others joined in. Not applause, but acknowledgement. The Zalathi representative floated forward. "We demand a full investigation. All parties involved must be held accountable." "Agreed," said the Centauri delegate. "The Union as we know it is finished. We must build something better." Councillor Elira stood, her silver form commanding attention. "I motion for the immediate arrest of all identified conspirators and the formation of a new galactic council with full transparency protocols." The vote was unanimous. In the chaos that followed, I found myself in a secure room with Sarath, Terran, and Elira. Sarath had dropped her disguise. Her scales, shifting through colors I'd learned, indicated satisfaction. "We did it," Terran said, disbelief in his voice. "We actually stopped them." "We stopped this attempt," Elira corrected. "There will be others. Power abhors a vacuum." "Then we'll stop them too," I said. "We," Sarath asked, looking at me. "Unless you have other plans. My people will want me to return, help rebuild our reputation. And I think they can manage without me for a while," she smiled, showing those terrifying teeth. "Besides, someone needs to keep you from making stupid heroic gestures." "Is that a yes to my earlier question?" "What question?" "About making our marriage official." She laughed. That earthquake rumble I'd grown to love. "You're proposing now in a secure holding room after exposing a galactic conspiracy." "Seems as good a time as any." "You really are insane." "Is that a yes?" "Ask me again when we're not surrounded by security recordings and your friend isn't taking notes." I looked at Terran, who was indeed recording everything on his datapad. "Really? This is historical. I'm not missing it." Elira stood. "I need to coordinate with the security forces. There are still conspirators to round up." She paused at the door. "Thank you, both of you. You saved more than just lives today." After she left, Terran excused himself to check the systems, leaving Sarath and me alone. "So," I said. "So, we make a good team." "We do." "Want to keep doing this, exposing conspiracies, saving the galaxy, arguing about everything?" "That depends." On whether you're going to keep making impossible plans that somehow work." "Probably." "Then, I suppose someone needs to keep you alive." She moved closer, her presence filling the room. "But there's something you should know." "What?" "I knew about the hegemony before we started this. My contact, the one who told me about you. They were trying to use us to expose the architects so the hegemony could take over. And you went along with it. Until I met you. Then I decided the galaxy needed something different. Not the Union, not the hegemony, but something new, something honest. And you think we can build that?" "I think we can try, together." "Together," I agreed. She leaned down, her face inches from mine. For a moment, I thought she might kiss me, though I wasn't sure how that would work with our different anatomies. Instead, she pressed her forehead against mine, a gesture that felt more intimate than any kiss could have been. "Marcus Hale," she said softly, "you are officially the strangest human I've ever met." "Sarath of the Dravari 3rd Regiment. You're officially the most terrifying person I've ever proposed to." "Only person you've proposed to." "Details." The door burst open. Terran stood there, panic on his face. "We have a problem." "Of course we do," Sarath sighed. "The broker's been monitoring communications. The architects had a backup plan. If the Celestia Prime attack failed, they'd activate something called the Terminus Protocol. Which is, we don't know. But it involves something hidden in Earth's solar system. Something that's been there since before the Union was founded. I looked at Sarath. Want to save Earth? Will it involve impossible odds and near certain death? Probably. Then yes. She stood, towering over both of us. But after this, we're taking a vacation. Deal. We left the secure room and headed back to our ship. The galaxy was in chaos. The Union was crumbling. And apparently, there was an ancient threat hidden in my home system. But for the first time in 3 years, I felt hope. I'd chosen the scariest alien lady at the ceremony, and it had led to exposing a conspiracy that spanned the galaxy. We'd saved hundreds of lives and prevented a war. Not bad for a week's work. Marcus, Sarath said as we reached the docking bay. Yeah, the answer is yes. To which question? All of them. I smiled. Good, because I have a feeling we're going to need each other for whatever comes next. Our ship waited, fueled and ready. Beyond it, the stars held 1,000,000 secrets and 1,000 threats. But we'd face them together. The unlikely diplomat and the terrifying warrior, bound by choice and necessity, and something that might have been love. The truth was still out there, waiting to be found, and we were just getting started. The journey to Earth took 3 days through hyperspace. 3 days where the galaxy behind us erupted into controlled chaos. The Union's dissolution wasn't violent, but it wasn't peaceful either. Every species was scrambling to secure their interests in the new order. You're brooding again, Sarath observed from the pilot's seat. I'm thinking. When you think, you get that crease between your eyebrows. It's disturbing. My face disturbs you? Have you looked in a mirror? Daily. I'm magnificent. She adjusted our heading slightly. What troubles you? The Terminus Protocol. Why hide something in Earth's system, and why activate it now? Because Earth was where the Union truly began, Terran said, entering the bridge with a tray of what he claimed was coffee, but tasted like burnt rubber. The first interspecies alliance was signed in Earth orbit. If you wanted to hide a failsafe, where better than the place everyone considers sacred ground? Sacred ground that's about to become a battlefield, I muttered. The broker had provided what intelligence he could before we left. The Terminus Protocol was old, predating even the Union's official founding. References to it appeared in classified documents spanning centuries, always as a last resort, a final solution if the Union ever truly fell. We're dropping out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, Sarath announced. Earth appeared before us, blue and white and achingly beautiful. I hadn't been home in 5 years. Seeing it now, with the knowledge that something dangerous lurked nearby, made my chest tight. Marcus, Terran said quietly, look at the orbital patterns. I looked and cursed. The military stations that should have been in standard defensive positions had moved, forming a perimeter around something near Luna. They're protecting it, Sarath said. Whatever the Terminus Protocol is, Earth's military is in on it. Or they're being controlled, I pointed out. The psychotropic compound from Celestia Prime. What if that was just a test run? My communicator buzzed. Admiral Harrison, Earth Defense Command. I'd served under him briefly before moving to Diplomatic Corps. He was a good man, or had been. Marcus Hale. His voice was flat, wrong. You're ordered to surrender immediately. Admiral, what's happening? What is the Terminus Protocol? Salvation. The Union failed, but humanity will endure. We will bring order. That's not you talking. It's all of us talking. We speak with one voice now, as the galaxy should. The connection cut. Sarath was already plotting evasion routes as Earth's defensive platforms turned toward us. They're compromised, Terran said unnecessarily. All of them? Not all, a new voice said through our comms. Some of us are still fighting. The visual feed showed a young woman in Earth military uniform, broadcasting from what looked like a maintenance tunnel. Commander Lisa Park, Earth Resistance. We've been hiding since the protocol activated 2 days ago. Resistance, I asked. About 300 of us who were off duty when the neural pulse hit. Everyone else is connected. They call it the convergence. Original, Sarath muttered. How are you blocking it? Faraday cages, mostly. But we can't stay hidden much longer. They're hunting us systematically. What is the protocol exactly? An AI system, we think. Something the Union's founders discovered and hid. It was meant to unite humanity in case of extinction-level threats. Instead, someone's weaponized it. The architects? Has to be. They're using Earth's population as processing power, turning 12 billion minds into a single supercomputer. I felt sick. We need to shut it down. Easier said than done. It's based on Luna, in the old mining complex. The entire moon has been converted into a transmission array. Then we go to Luna, Sarath said simply. It's protected by the entire Earth fleet. Then we go through them. Commander Park laughed bitterly. 3 people against thousands of ships. 4, Terran corrected. And we have something they don't expect. What? Me. He pulled up his screens, fingers flying across holographic interfaces. I've been analyzing the control signal. It's quantum encrypted, but it has a fatal flaw. It needs to constantly update to maintain control. If we can disrupt the update cycle, even for a few seconds, the whole system crashes. I finished. But we'd need to get close enough to transmit the disruption. How close? Sarath asked. Inside the Luna complex. Of course. Commander Park's image flickered. If you're serious about this insane plan, we can help. We've got people in the orbital stations who haven't been detected yet. They could create a distraction. Do it, I said. We launch in 1 hour. The hour passed too quickly. Sarath modified our shields to hopefully resist the neural pulse for a few minutes. Terran prepared his disruption program. I checked weapons and tried not to think about the odds. This is suicide, Sarath said conversationally as we approached Earth's perimeter. You keep saying that about our plans. Because they keep being suicidal. Yet we're still alive. Luck runs out, Marcus. Then we'd better make our own. The first wave of fighters appeared on our screens. Hundreds of them, moving in perfect synchronization. No hesitation, no fear. Just mechanical precision. Here we go, Sarath breathed, and threw us into a dive. The space around Earth became a laser-lit hell. Sarath flew like she was born to it, using her species' predatory instincts to anticipate attack patterns. But there were too many. Our shields flared and sparked as hits accumulated. Then, explosions bloomed across 3 orbital stations simultaneously. Commander Park's resistance had come through. Now, I shouted. Sarath pushed our engines beyond their limits, shooting through the gap in Earth's defenses. Luna loomed ahead, its surface covered in mechanical growths that hadn't been there a week ago. The mining complex had been transformed into something organic-looking, like cancer made of metal and light. Landing in 30 seconds, Sarath announced. If we live that long, Terran added helpfully. The lunar surface rushed up to meet us. Sarath killed the engines at the last second, using momentum and prayer to slide us into a maintenance hangar. We hit hard enough to throw us against our restraints, but we were down. Everyone alive? I asked. Unfortunately, Terran groaned. Move, Sarath ordered, already heading for the airlock. The complex's interior was worse than its exterior. The walls pulsed with light that hurt to look at directly. The air, maintained by artificial atmosphere, tasted of ozone and something else. Something wrong. The core should be in the central mining shaft, Terran said, consulting his scanner. About 2 kilometers down. Guards. Hundreds. But they're not moving. It's like they're in standby mode. We moved carefully through corridors that had once been familiar. I'd toured this facility as a cadet, back when it was just a mining operation. Now it was something else. Something alien despite being built by human hands. The first guard we encountered stood perfectly still, eyes open but unseeing. I waved my hand in front of his face. No response. Creepy, Terran whispered. Efficient, Sarath corrected. They don't need to patrol if the AI sees everything. As if responding to her words, the guard's head snapped toward us. Then every guard in sight did the same. Run, I said. We ran. The complex became a nightmare of pursuit. The controlled humans didn't speak, didn't shout, just followed with relentless purpose. Sarath dropped some with precise strikes, but she was careful not to kill. These were innocents, victims of the system. The central shaft opened before us, a vertical drop into darkness lit by streams of data, flowing like water along the walls. At the bottom, something massive pulsed with unhealthy light. That's it, Terran said. The AI core. How do we get down? Emergency ladders, or we jump? Jump. Lunar gravity, we'd survive. Barely, Sarath added. The controlled humans were closing in. We had seconds to decide. Jump, I said. We jumped. The fall lasted forever and an instant. Lunar gravity made it survivable, but the landing still drove the breath from my lungs. Sarath landed in a crouch, barely affected. Terran hit hard and stayed down, clutching his ankle. Go, he gasped, shoving his datapad at me. The program's ready. Just need to upload it to the core. The core loomed above us, a fusion of organic design and mechanical purpose. It looked almost alive, breathing with the rhythm of 12 billion networked minds. Cables ran from it like veins, disappearing into the lunar rock. I approached the main interface, Terran's program ready. Behind us, controlled humans were rappelling down the shaft walls like spiders. Hurry, Sarath urged, standing guard. I started the upload. The core resisted immediately, throwing up firewall after firewall. Each one I broke through spawned 2 more. It's adapting, I said. Faster than the adaptation, Sarath replied, then grunted as she threw another attacker aside. The program was at 60% when the core spoke, not with words, but directly into our minds. You cannot stop convergence. Unity is peace, chaos is death. Unity without choice is slavery, I replied, pushing the upload harder. You choose destruction over order. You choose war over peace. I choose freedom over control. Freedom is illusion. Observe. Images flooded my mind. The galaxy in flames. Species turning on each other without the union to maintain order. Billions dying in conflicts that could have been prevented. Earth itself burning. Stop, I gasped, but the images kept coming. This is your choice. This is freedom's price. Marcus, Sarath's voice cut through the mental assault. Don't listen. It's lying. How do you know? Because I've seen real war, real chaos, and it's nothing like those images. Those are fears, not futures. I focused on her voice, using it as an anchor. The upload resumed. 80%, 90%. The core's assault became desperate. Physical pain now, every nerve firing at once. I screamed but kept my hand on the interface. Almost there, I managed. Then, Counselor Elira walked out of the shadows. Not a projection. Actually her. But her eyes held the same emptiness as the controlled humans. Hello, Marcus, she said with a voice that wasn't quite hers. The architects send their regards. You're controlled. I'm evolved. The convergence isn't just about Earth. It's about the entire galaxy. Every species united under a single will. No more war. No more conflict. No more choice. Choice is overrated. She raised a weapon I didn't recognize, something that hummed with lethal energy. Step away from the core. No. Then die. Sarath moved faster than thought, putting herself between us. The weapon fired, and Sarath screamed. Not her earthquake rumble, but actual pain. She collapsed, her scales flickering through spectrums I'd never seen. Sarath. Upload, she gasped. Finish it. 95%. Elira aimed at me now. Last chance. Go to hell. Already there? The weapon charged. Time slowed. I could see my death in the weapon's glow. Then Terran, broken ankle and all, threw himself at Elira. They went down in a tangle of limbs, the weapon firing wild, scoring molten lines in the walls. 99%. The core's scream, when the upload completed, was both silent and deafening. Every controlled human froze mid-motion, then collapsed. The lights in the complex flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red. I ran to Sarath. She was breathing, but barely. The weapon had torn through her natural armor, leaving a wound that leaked light instead of blood. "Hey," I said, cradling her head. "Stay with me." "Terrible bedside manner," she managed. "You're one to talk." Elira groaned, consciousness returning to her eyes. "What? Where am I?" "Luna, you were controlled. How?" I don't know. After Celestia Prime, everything's fuzzy." She saw Sarath's condition. "Oh no. What did I do?" "Your job, apparently," Sarath coughed. "The architects used you as backup." "We need to get her to a medical facility," I said. "The complex medical bay," Elira said. "If it still works." We carried Sarath between us, Terran limping alongside. The complex was chaos. Thousands of freed humans waking confused and frightened. But the medical systems were automated, starting work on Sarath the moment we got her on the table. "She'll live," the diagnostic announced. "Cellular reconstruction in progress." I sagged with relief. "Marcus," Terran said, looking at his datapad. "You need to see this." The disruption program had done more than free Earth. It had captured data from the AI core during shutdown, information about the architects, their identities, their locations, their entire network. "We have them," I breathed. "We have everything." "Then we finish this," Elira said, her face hard. "They used me. They used Earth. They need to answer for it." "After Sarath recovers?" "I'm fine," Sarath said from the medical bed. "Just need a moment." "You were just shot with an experimental weapon." "I've had worse." "When?" "Ask me after our honeymoon." "Despite everything," I laughed. "We haven't even had the wedding yet." "Details." She tried to sit up, winced, and lay back down. "All right, maybe I need 2 moments." Commander Park's voice crackled over comms. "Hale, you did it. Earth is free. The fleet's standing down. What's your status?" "Alive, barely. We need extraction and medical support. Already en route. And Marcus, the Provisional Earth Government, wants to thank you. All of you. Tell them to thank us by helping build something better than the Union." "Already working on it. Park out." I sat beside Sarath's bed, exhaustion hitting like a hammer. Terran was getting his ankle treated. Elira was coordinating with Earth security to round up any remaining architect agents. "We did it," I said to Sarath. "We did something," she corrected. "The architects are exposed, but they're not defeated. The galaxy's in chaos, and we still don't know who was really behind everything. You think there's someone else? There's always someone else. Powers behind powers." She reached out, her clawed hand enveloping mine. "But that's tomorrow's problem." "What's today's problem?" "Deciding where to have the wedding, Earth or Dravari." "Both." "2 weddings ambitious." "I'm marrying a 7-foot-tall warrior who could kill me with her pinky." "Ambition seems appropriate." She laughed, then winced as it pulled at her injuries. "You really are insane." "And you love it." "Unfortunately, yes." The medical bay's window showed Earth hanging in the black, free but wounded. The galaxy beyond was in turmoil, old orders falling and new ones struggling to be born. We'd stopped the immediate threat, but Sarath was right. This was far from over. "Marcus," she said quietly. "Yeah, when I took that shot for you, I didn't think about it, just acted. That's what partners do." "Is that what we are, partners?" "Among other things. Such as friends, lovers, eventually, co-conspirators. Wedding planning committee? You're terrible at romance. You're terrible at accepting it. We're quite a pair. The worst, I agreed. The broker's message arrived as Sarath was being cleared for travel. Simple and direct. The architect data reveals something interesting. They were funded by corporations from the Magellanic Clouds, entities that shouldn't exist yet. Time travel may be involved. Interested in investigating. I showed it to Sarath. Time travel, she said flatly. Because our lives weren't complicated enough. We could ignore it. Take that vacation you mentioned. Could we really? No. Then we investigate after the wedding. Weddings, plural. You agreed. I agreed to nothing. You suggested. I mocked. That's basically agreement in our relationship. She smiled, showing those terrifying, wonderful teeth. Our relationship. I like how that sounds. Me too. Earth's medical ships arrived, ready to transport us home. As we prepared to leave Luna, I looked back at the disabled AI core. We'd won this battle, but the war for the galaxy's future was just beginning. At least we'd face it together. Ready? Sarath asked. With you always? Liar, you're terrified. Absolutely, but ready anyway. We boarded the ship. Earth ahead and the universe's mysteries behind. Whatever came next, we'd handle it. The diplomat who chose the scariest bride and the warrior who said yes. Not the love story anyone expected, but exactly the one the galaxy needed. The recovery ward on Earth's orbital medical station was too quiet. Sarath had been in regeneration for 3 days, her body rebuilding itself cell by cell. I'd barely left her side, watching the monitors that tracked her vital signs in patterns I didn't fully understand. You need to eat, Terran said, entering with a tray of something that might have been food. Later. You've said that for 2 days straight. She's going to wake up eventually. And when she does, she'll kill me if you've starved yourself. She'd kill you anyway. It's how she shows affection. Comforting. He set the tray down and pulled up a chair. The broker sent another message about those Magellanic Cloud corporations. What about them? They don't exist. Not yet. Anyway, the companies that funded the architects won't be founded for another 300 years. I finally looked away from Sarath's sleeping form. That's impossible. So was everything else we've dealt with. But the evidence is solid. Financial records, quantum signatures, even DNA traces. All from the future. Someone from 300 years in the future funded a conspiracy to control our present. Looks like it. The question is why? Before I could respond, Sarath's eyes opened. Not gradually, but all at once. Alert and ready for combat. Where? She asked, trying to sit up. Easy, I said, gently pushing her back down. You're in medical. You're safe. Safe is relative. Her voice was rough, but stronger than I'd expected. How long? 3 days. And you've been here the whole time. Most of it. Idiot. But she squeezed my hand when she said it. What did I miss? Time-traveling corporate conspiracies, apparently. Of course, because regular conspiracies weren't enough. She looked at Terran. You're limping less. Modern medicine. Plus, I'm naturally resilient. You screamed when you stubbed your toe last year. That was different. Toes are sensitive. She laughed, then winced. Don't make me laugh. Everything still hurts. The doctor said you'll need another day before you're cleared for movement, I said. The doctors can kiss my scales. We have work to do. We have a wedding to plan. Remember? Or did the near-death experience make you forget? Nothing could make me forget that. But the wedding can wait. If someone from the future is messing with our timeline, then we need to understand why, Elira said, entering the room. She looked better than she had on Luna, the haunted expression replaced by determination. I've been analyzing the architect data. There's a pattern. She pulled up a holographic display showing a timeline marked with various events. Every major conflict in the past century, every crisis that led to the Union consolidating power, They all have markers indicating future interference. Someone has been guiding our history toward a specific outcome. What outcome? I asked. The extinction of humanity. The room went silent. That can't be right, Terran said. Why would future humans engineer their own extinction? Maybe they're not human, Sarath suggested. Or maybe humanity becomes something else, something that sees current humans as a threat. There's more, Elira continued. The Terminus Protocol wasn't just about control. It was designed to upload human consciousness into a collective matrix. Not to control them, but to preserve them. Preserve them from what? From whatever's coming. My communicator buzzed. The broker, his timing uncanny as always. Mr. Hale, I have information you need. Meet me at the following coordinates. Bring your team. Time is more limited than you know. The coordinates were for a location in deep space, nowhere near any system. It's a trap, Sarath said immediately. Everything's a trap, but the broker hasn't steered us wrong yet. There's always a first time. Only one way to find out. She tried to get up again, this time making it to a sitting position. Then I'm coming. You can barely move. I can move enough. She stood, swaying slightly but staying upright through sheer will. Besides, you need someone to keep you from doing something stupid. That's a full-time job, Terran observed, which is why I accepted his proposal. Despite everything, I smiled. Romantic as always. Romance is for people who aren't being hunted by time travelers. We took Sarath's ship, now repaired and upgraded with some of Earth's newest defensive systems. The journey to the coordinates took 2 days, during which Sarath gradually returned to full strength. Dravari healing was remarkable. Their bodies designed for survival in ways human biology could only dream of. The coordinates led to empty space, or what appeared to be empty space until the broker's station decloaked. It was massive, easily the size of a small moon, but hidden behind technology that bent light and space around it. Welcome, the broker's voice echoed through our comms. Docket Bay 9. We have much to discuss and little time to do it. The station's interior was a maze of different architectural styles, as if pieces had been stolen from 100 different worlds and somehow made to work together. We were led by silent automatons to a central chamber where the broker waited. For the first time, we saw him without holograms or projections. He wasn't what I expected. He was human, or had been once. Now he was something more and less. His body a fusion of organic and mechanical parts that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Surprised, he asked, his voice coming from speakers rather than his mouth. A little, I admitted. I'm from the future you're investigating. 312 years, to be precise. Sarath's hand went to her weapon. You're behind this. No. I'm trying to stop it. Have been for longer than you can imagine. He gestured to chairs that materialized from the floor. Sit. Let me tell you about the war you don't know you're fighting. We sat, though Sarath kept her hand near her weapon. In my timeline, the broker began. Humanity evolved, not naturally, but through forced augmentation, the convergence you stopped on Luna. That was version 1. By my time, it's version 50. Every human is connected, part of a hive mind that spans galaxies. That doesn't sound like extinction, Terran said. Isn't it when individual consciousness is subsumed into the collective? When free will becomes a forgotten concept? When humanity becomes a single entity with a single purpose? That's not evolution. It's death wearing the mask of progress. And this collective sent you back? I asked. No. I escaped, stole technology, gathered resources, and came back to prevent it from happening. But I wasn't the only one. The collective sent its own agents, the ones who became the architects. They're trying to ensure their own creation. A temporal war, Sarath said. You're fighting a temporal war. We all are, whether we know it or not. The broker stood, his form shifting as he moved. Every choice, every action, it either leads toward the convergence or away from it. You've been pushing away, which is why you're still alive. The collective wants you dead. But we stopped the Terminus Protocol. You delayed it. The technology still exists. The knowledge is still there. Someone will try again. They always do. Then how do we stop it permanently? Elira asked. You can't. Not from here. You need to go to the source. The future, the moment of divergence. 43 years from now, a scientist named Dr. Marcus Reed will make a discovery that enables the first true neural linking. That's where it starts. I noticed Sarath looking at me strangely. What? Marcus Reed. Marcus Hale. Coincidence. The broker's mechanical features might have smiled. There are no coincidences in temporal war. Dr. Reed is your grandson, Mr. Hale. The room spun. What, I don't even have children. Not yet, but you will. With her. He pointed at Sarath. That's biologically impossible, Terran said. Is it Dravari and human DNA are surprisingly compatible with the right modifications? Your children will be the first true hybrids, bridges between species, and one of them will have a son who either dooms or saves humanity. No pressure, Sarath muttered. This is insane, I said. You're telling me our hypothetical grandson causes the apocalypse or prevents it? The timeline is fluid. In my version, he created the technology without safeguards. But if he's raised differently, taught differently, he makes different choices, Elira finished. Exactly. So what do you want us to do? I asked. Have kids and hope we're good parents. That's part of it. But more immediately, you need to stop the other temporal agents. There are 3 more, each positioned at crucial points in the timeline. If they succeed, the path to convergence becomes inevitable. Where are they? The broker produced a data crystal. Everything I know is in here. But be warned, knowing the future is dangerous. It can lock you into paths you might otherwise avoid. I took the crystal, its surface warm and somehow alive. We'll take the risk. There's one more thing, the broker said. The collective knows I'm here. They'll send hunters. You need to leave, now. As if on cue, alarms began blaring. The station shook as something impacted its shields. Temporal hunters, the broker said. Beings pulled from collapsed timelines and, given one purpose, eliminate threats to the convergence. Go. I'll hold them off. We ran. Behind us. The station's weapons engaged something I couldn't quite see. Distortions in space that hurt to look at directly. Our ship barely cleared the docking bay before the first hunter materialized on our bridge. It was wrong. That was the only word for it. Human-shaped but stretched, as if someone had pulled taffy into the form of a person. Its eyes were holes in reality, and when it spoke, the words came from everywhere and nowhere. Marcus Hale, your timeline ends. Sarath moved first, firing her weapon point blank. The energy passed through the creature without effect. Temporal shielding, Terran shouted. It's not fully in our timeline. Then how do we fight it? We don't, I said, understanding coming in a flash. We run, full speed to hyperspace, now. Sarath didn't argue, throwing us into jump preparation. The hunter advanced, reaching out with fingers that trailed distortions. One touch and we'd be erased from history. 10 seconds to jump, Sarath announced. The hunter was 3 feet away. 5 seconds. 2 feet. Jump. We vanished into hyperspace just as the hunter's fingers brushed the console. The last thing I saw was the broker's station exploding in a cascade of temporal energy that looked like fireworks made of moments. In hyperspace, we were safe, temporarily. That was too close, Terran said, checking systems. And what the hell was that thing? Our future, I said, inserting the broker's data crystal into our system. If we fail. The data was extensive. 3 temporal agents, each with a specific mission. The first was positioned on Dravari, working to prevent the species from ever achieving spaceflight. The second was on Earth, infiltrating the scientific community. The third, Mars colony, Sarath read. 20 years from now, they're going to sabotage the first human Dravari cooperative colony. Our children's home, I said quietly. Children we don't have yet from a colony that doesn't exist. But will, if we succeed. When we succeed, she corrected. So where do we start? I studied the data. Dravari. The agent there is the most immediate threat. They're planning to trigger a planetary civil war in 6 months. My homeworld, Sarath said, her scales darkening. They're targeting my people first. Because Dravari resistance is what prevents the convergence from spreading beyond humanity, Elira said, reading the files. Your species' mental structure makes you immune to neural linking. So they want to eliminate us before we can interfere. Not eliminate, I corrected. Weaken. A civil war would keep your people planet-bound for generations. Then we stop it. We, your people, labeled you a traitor, remember? That was before I saved the galaxy. Twice. They'll listen now. And if they don't, she smiled, all teeth and determination, then I'll make them listen. We dropped out of hyperspace near Dravari's outer system. The planet hung before us, purple and gold in the light of its twin suns. Beautiful and dangerous, like its people. Incoming transmission, Terran announced. It's the Dravari High Command. Put it through. The screen filled with the image of an elderly Dravari. His scales dulled with age, but his eyes sharp as ever. General Kothan, Sarath's former commander. Lady Sarath, we heard of your actions at Earth. The Council wishes to speak with you. Just me. Your companions are welcome as guests, but the Council's business is with you alone. Sarath looked at me. It's a start. Be careful. The temporal agent could be anyone. I'm always careful. You literally threw yourself in front of an experimental weapon 3 days ago. Carefully threw myself. We were escorted to the capital city, a blend of ancient architecture and advanced technology that showcased Dravari culture perfectly, strength and sophistication in equal measure. The council chamber was intimidating even by Dravari standards. 7 ancient warriors, each bearing scars from countless battles, sat in judgment. Sarath stood before them, somehow looking small despite her size. Lady Sarath, the center counselor began, you abandoned your post, consorted with humans, and revealed military secrets to outsiders. I saved the galaxy from a conspiracy that would have enslaved us all. So you claim. So the evidence proves. She transmitted the broker's data to their systems. Read it, all of it. Then tell me I was wrong. They read in silence for long minutes. Their expressions, hard to read on human faces, were impossible on Dravari ones. Finally, the center counselor spoke. This speaks of a threat to our world. A temporal agent, planning to incite civil war. And you know who it is. Not yet, but with your help, we can find them. Why should we trust you? You who chose a human over your own kind. Sarath straightened, and for the first time, I saw her not as my partner, but as what she was to her people, a warrior of legendary skill and honor. Because I chose the path that saved all our kinds. Because I put the galaxy above my species, just as you taught me. And because if we don't act, everything we've built will fall. The council murmured among themselves. Then the eldest, who hadn't spoken yet, stood. I remember you as a hatchling, he said to Sarath. Fierce even then. Always fighting, always questioning. It's what made you our best warrior, and our most frustrating student. Elder Thax, You were right. The words silenced the chamber. About the humans, about the conspiracy, about everything. We were too proud to see it. But pride means nothing if our world burns. He turned to the other counselors. I vote to reinstate Lady Sarath with full honors and support her mission. One by one, the others agreed, not happily, but unanimously. "Thank you," Sarath said. "Don't thank us yet," Elder Thax replied. "If there's a traitor among us, finding them won't be easy. They've had time to establish themselves, build trust. Then we need to think like them," I said, stepping forward despite protocol. "A temporal agent would need resources, influence, and access to communications. Who's risen to prominence recently? Who's been pushing for policy changes?" The counselors exchanged glances. "Minister Vrex," one said slowly. "He appeared 2 years ago, claimed to be from the outer colonies. Rose quickly through the ranks." "Too quickly," another added. "But his ideas were sound. His loyalty seemed absolute." "Where is he now?" Sarath asked. "The orbital defense platform. He's overseeing upgrades to our shield systems." Sarath and I looked at each other. Orbital defenses. The perfect place to sabotage a planet's safety. "We need to get up there," she said. "You're not going without me," I said. "This is Dravari business. This is temporal war business. And last I checked, we're partners in that." She made that earthquake rumble laugh. "Partners, fine, but try to keep up." The orbital platform was a masterpiece of Dravari engineering, bristling with weapons and shields that could repel a full fleet. Minister Vrex met us in the command center. His scales a pattern I'd never seen on other Dravari. Too perfect, too symmetrical. "Lady Sarath," he said smoothly. "An honor. I heard of your heroics at Earth. Minister, I understand you're upgrading our defenses." "Indeed. The galaxy grows more dangerous daily. We must be prepared." "May we see the upgrades?" His eyes narrowed slightly. "They're quite technical." "I'm quite interested in technical things," Terran said, already scanning with his equipment. "Of course." But Vrex moved to block certain panels. "Though some areas are restricted." "Even to a council representative?" Sarath asked. "Especially to outsiders." "Her human is hardly an outsider," I said. "We're to be married." "A mistake, in my opinion." His scales shifted, revealing colors that shouldn't exist. "Diluting our bloodline with inferior species." Sarath moved so fast I barely saw it. Her hand wrapped around Rex's throat, lifting him off the ground. "Marcus, scan him." Terran's scanner whirred. "He's reading as temporally displaced. He's not from this time." "Who are you?" Sarath demanded. Vrex laughed, his form beginning to shift. "I am the future, and you cannot stop what's coming." He dissolved, not metaphorically, but literally, his body breaking apart into temporal energy that scattered like smoke, but not before Terran captured something. "Got it," he said. "A partial quantum signature. It's not much, but it might help us track the others." "The shield upgrades," I said, rushing to the panels. He was doing something to them. The modifications were subtle but devastating. Instead of protecting the planet, the shields would trap it, cutting Dravari off from the rest of the galaxy, while internal conflicts tore it apart. "Can you fix it?" Sarath asked. "Already on it," Terran replied, his fingers flying over controls. "But it'll take time." "Then we'd better—" Alarms blared. On the screens, ships appeared from hyperspace. Not Dravari vessels, but the same wrongness as the temporal hunters. "They found us," I said. "Everyone evacuate the platform," Sarath ordered over the comm. "Now." "What about us?" Terran asked. "We finish this. If those shields activate with Vrex's modifications, Dravari is doomed." The platform shook as the temporal ships opened fire. Not with conventional weapons, but with something that made sections of the station age rapidly, metal rusting and crumbling in seconds. 5 minutes, Terran said. "I need 5 minutes." "Then you'll get them," Sarath said, heading for the weapons console. "Marcus, target their engines. If we can't destroy them, maybe we can slow them down." We fought desperately, using every trick and weapon the platform had. But the temporal ships kept coming, each hit aging another section of the station. 30 seconds, Terran announced. A hunter materialized on the bridge, reaching for him. Sarath intercepted it, her natural immunity to temporal effects, letting her grapple with it directly. They fought, reality bending around them. "Done!" Terran shouted. "Then go," Sarath ordered, still wrestling the hunter. "Not without you." She did something I didn't know was possible, channeling her bioelectric field through her scales. The hunter screamed, a sound like time itself breaking, and dissipated. "Now we go," she panted. We ran for the escape pods as the station came apart around us. The temporal ship's attacks had aged it to the point of collapse. We launched just as the superstructure gave way, debris scattering across Dravari's orbit. But the shields held, properly now, protecting the planet instead of imprisoning it. "One down," I said as our pod descended toward the surface. "Two to go," Sarath added. "Earth next." "Earth next." As we entered atmosphere, I took her hand. "You know what the broker said about our children. Genetically impossible. He also said that, but not temporally impossible, apparently. Are you actually proposing we have hybrid children to save the future?" "I'm proposing we get married first, then see what happens. Romantic and practical, I'm impressed." "I learned from the best." She squeezed my hand as the ground rushed up to meet us. "After we save Earth, and Mars, and the timeline. So next Tuesday." Optimist. Realist, with you, anything's possible. The pod touched down in the capital, where crowds had gathered. They'd seen the battle in orbit, seen their champions save their world again. As we emerged, they didn't cheer. Dravari don't cheer. But they drummed their feet against the ground, their highest sign of respect. Elder Thax met us at the landing pad. "The second agent." "Earth, 20 years from now. A scientist who shouldn't exist yet." "Then you must go. But know this, Lady Sarath, you are no longer exile. You are guardian. Of Dravari, of Earth, of the future itself. I'm just a soldier. No, you're hope, for all of us." We boarded our ship, setting course for Earth and another battle across time. The future was trying to create itself, and we were the only things standing in its way. "Ready for round 2, I asked as we entered hyperspace. "With you always. Even if it means impossible hybrid children, especially then. Someone needs to teach them not to destroy the timeline. Parent of the Year material right there. We'll figure it out, we always do." The stars streaked past, each one a moment in time we were fighting to preserve. The war wasn't over. It might never be truly over. But we'd face it together, the diplomat and the warrior, bound by choice and necessity and love. The future was coming, but so were we.